I used to think Valentine's Day was just a cash grab with better lighting. Then I took a reservation at a restaurant that doesn't exist. It started with an ad I swear wasn't there the day before. I was scrolling late at night, thumb numb, when a sponsored post slid between a dog video and a rant thread. A candlelit table, red roses, black linens, a violinist blurred in the background. The caption said, "The reservation one night only, February 14th. A dinner you will never forget." The comments were turned off. The account had no other posts, no location tag, just a link. I wouldn't have clicked it if I hadn't been desperate, because I'd already told Mia I had a plan. Mia was my girlfriend of almost a year, and she wasn't hard to please, not really. She liked effort, she liked surprise, she liked the feeling that I'd thought ahead, and I hadn't. I'd been working overtime, falling behind in school, and convincing myself I'd figure it out, right up until the week of Valentine's. Every nice place in town was booked. Every event had a waiting list. Even the cheesy chain restaurants were out of tables unless you wanted to eat at 4:30 like a retiree. So when I saw that ad, it felt like the universe tossing me a rope. The website was simple. No photos beyond the one from the ad. Black background, white text, a single page with a form. Name, number of guests. Time special requests at the bottom. A line in smaller font. Please arrive on time. Late arrivals may be seated elsewhere. There was no price listed, no menu, no address, just a confirmation button. I typed my name. 2 guests, 7:30. Special requests, no peanuts, allergy. Then I hit confirm. The page didn't load a confirmation screen. It didn't redirect. It just faded to black. A few seconds later, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Reservation confirmed. February 14th, 7:30 p.m. Bring this message. Do not share your reservation details. Then, underneath that, your table is waiting. I stared at the screen. Something in my chest tightened, but I told myself it was just good marketing. Mysterious, exclusive. Still, no address. I texted back. Where is it located? No response. I tried calling the number. It rang once, then went dead like the line had been cut. For a minute, I considered cancelling, but there was no cancel link, no account to log into, just a message sitting there like a dare. I figured the address would come later. It did. The morning of Valentine's Day, my phone buzzed again. Location unlocked. 1327 Briar Lane. Arrive 10 minutes early. Do not knock. Do not speak to staff outside. 1327 Briar Lane was on the edge of town. I knew that because I grew up here, and I knew which streets had street lights and which ones relied on the moon. Briar Lane was one of the moon streets. I drove out there that afternoon just to check it. I told myself it was smart. Scope it out. Make sure I wasn't bringing Mia to some weird prank. The houses thinned out the farther I went, until I hit a stretch where the trees leaned toward the road like they were listening. The GPS voice got quieter, like it didn't want to be involved. 1327 was at the end of a gravel drive. No mailbox, no porch light. Just a tall house set back in the trees, the kind you'd call historic if you were being polite. The windows were dark, no cars, no sign. The only thing that made my stomach drop was the fact that for half a second, I could smell food. Roast meat, warm bread, something sweet like melted sugar. Then it was gone. I didn't get out of the car. I just sat there, hands on the steering wheel, telling myself it had to be someone's Airbnb gimmick. Some rich couple doing a themed dinner, right? That night I picked Mia up at 6:45. She wore a red dress and a smile that made me hate myself for ever thinking I could wing it. "Okay," she said, climbing into the passenger seat. "Where are we going?" "It's a surprise," I said, trying to sound confident. She squeezed my hand. "I love surprises." I lied again. "You're going to love this one." The drive out to Briar Lane took 20 minutes. Mia chatted about her day. I nodded at the right times. My eyes kept flicking to the clock. The closer we got, the quieter she got too. When the streetlights disappeared, she looked out the window and said, Babe, it's just out here," I said. "Out where?" I didn't answer because the GPS had stopped updating. The little blue dot had frozen. Still, I knew the way. The gravel drive crunched under my tires. The trees swallowed the headlights. The house appeared ahead like it had been waiting. Mia's voice went small. "This is the restaurant. It's like a private event," I said, and hated how weak it sounded. We pulled up to the front. No light, no music, no sign of life at all. But my phone buzzed right as the engine clicked off. "Welcome, please proceed." And then, "Do not knock." My skin prickled. Mia stared at me. "Ryan, it's fine," I said, and opened my door. The cold hit me like water. There was no wind, but it was freezing in a way that made my teeth ache. The front door of the house was slightly open, not wide, just enough to show a thin line of warm light inside. Mia didn't move. "No, I think it's just dramatic," I said, forcing a laugh. I stepped toward the door, and the smell of food rushed out again, strong enough to make my stomach growl. Behind me, Mia said, "If there's a guy with a chainsaw in there, I'm breaking up with you." I wanted to laugh for real, but the sound wouldn't come. I pushed the door. It swung inward silently. Inside was warm. Not heated warm, alive warm, like stepping into a crowded room. But the hallway was empty. A coat rack stood by the door, already holding 2 coats. A man's black pea coat and a woman's white wool coat. Fresh, like someone had just arrived. A voice came from deeper in the house, calm and pleasant. "Reservation?" I didn't see anyone. "Yeah. Ryan, 2 guests, 7:30. "Wonderful," the voice said. "Please follow the candles." On the floor, small candles had been placed in a line leading down the hallway. Mia hovered behind me. "I don't like this." "It's just a theme," I whispered, like saying it quieter would make it true. We followed the candles. The house was bigger inside than it looked outside. The hallway turned, then turned again, like the walls were shifting. We passed doorways that opened into dark rooms. I caught glimpses of things in the shadows, framed photos, old furniture, a piano. None of it felt like a restaurant. Then we entered the dining room, and my heart dropped through my ribs. It was beautiful. A long room filled with tables draped in black cloth. Red roses everywhere. Crystal glasses. Silverware that gleamed like ice. Soft violin music floating from somewhere I couldn't see. And people. Dozens of couples. All dressed like they were at a formal event. They sat close together, heads bent, talking softly, laughing, eating. It looked normal, except for one thing. Every single couple at every single table looked a little wrong. Not in an obvious monster way. In a way that made my brain struggle to focus on it. Like their faces were slightly out of alignment. Like their smiles didn't quite match their eyes. Mia leaned into me and whispered, "This is a cult." "No," I whispered back, because if I agreed out loud, it would become real. A server appeared beside us. I didn't see him approach. He was tall, wearing a black vest and white gloves. His face was pale and smooth, like wax. His eyes were dark and reflective. He held out his hand. "Your message." I showed him the text. He nodded once. "This way." We followed him through the tables. Couples glanced up as we passed. Some smiled, some didn't. One woman's gaze lingered on Mia like she was hungry. We reached a table near the far wall. 2 chairs, a single red candle burning in the center. The server pulled out Mia's chair. She didn't sit. "I need the bathroom," she said quickly. The server's smile widened, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Of course, down the hall, first door on the left." Mia shot me a look. I nodded like a coward. She walked away, heels tapping on the floor. I sat down because I didn't know what else to do. The server placed a menu in front of me. It was 1 page, no prices, just 3 options. First course, heartbeat soup. Second course, promise roast dessert, red velvet. At the bottom, special requests have been noted. I swallowed. "What is this place?" "A place for couples," the server said softly. "A place for commitments." I didn't. He leaned in, and his voice dropped to a whisper only I could hear. "You made a reservation." I felt my mouth go dry. I thought it was a restaurant. "It is," he said. "A restaurant." He straightened. "Enjoy your evening." Then he walked away, gliding more than stepping. I looked around for Mia. She hadn't come back. A minute passed, then 2. I tried to text her, no signal. I stood up, heart pounding, and headed down the hallway toward the bathroom. The first door on the left was open. Inside, it wasn't a bathroom. It was a small room with a mirror and a vanity, like a dressing room. Mia wasn't there. I heard something behind the wall, a soft tapping, like fingernails on wood. I stepped closer, pressing my ear to the wallpaper. A whisper came through, faint but unmistakable. "Ryan!" My blood ran cold. "Mia?" I hissed. "Ryan," she said again, voice shaking. Don't let them..." A sharp sound cut her off, like a slap, then silence. I backed away, stumbling. The door at the end of the hallway opened, and the server stepped out, carrying a tray. He looked at me like I'd wandered somewhere I wasn't supposed to. His smile never changed. "Sir, please return to your table. My girlfriend..." "She is being prepared." I froze. "Prepared for what?" "For dessert," he said. The tray in his hand smelled sweet. Red velvet. I ran. I didn't think. I just turned and sprinted back toward the dining room, pushing past startled couples knocking over a chair. Someone laughed. Someone clapped. The violin music didn't stop. I shoved through the crowd to the front hallway, following the candle line back the way we came. Except, the hallway was longer now. The turns didn't match my memory. The candles led me in circles. I slammed my hand against a wall, searching for the front door. My fingers hit smooth wallpaper. No door frame, no exit. My phone buzzed again. Late arrivals may be seated elsewhere. Then, "Do not leave your table." I spun, and the server was there, not running, not chasing, just there. 2 more servers stood behind him. Their faces were the same waxy pale. Their gloves were spotless. The first one spoke, calm as ever. "Your partner is waiting." "I'm leaving," I said, voice breaking. He tilted his head. "You made a reservation." I backed up until my shoulders hit a wall. "No," I said. "No, I didn't. This isn't..." He stepped closer, and I saw something in his eyes finally. Not darkness, reflections, like he wasn't looking at me, like he was looking through me at something behind. And then the wall at my back shifted. It wasn't a wall anymore. It was a doorway, a door I hadn't seen. Warm light spilled through, smell roses and sugar and blood. I didn't go through. I bolted the other way, tearing down the hallway, ignoring the candles, slamming doors open at random. Every door led to another room full of couples. Every room had a table set for two. Every table had a candle burning red. In one room, I saw a couple holding hands while a server tied a ribbon around their wrists. In another, a man was crying quietly while the woman beside him smiled like she didn't notice. In another, someone at a table turned and looked at me, and their face wasn't right at all. It was like their features were melting, rearranging into something else. I kept running. My lungs burned, my vision tunneled, and finally I found the front door. It was open. Cold air poured through like a blessing. I sprinted out, nearly falling down the steps, and didn't stop until I hit my car. The gravel drive seemed longer too, like the trees were trying to close in. When I finally hit the main road, street lights reappeared, and my phone regained signal. I called Mia. Straight to voicemail. I called again. Voicemail. I drove to her house like a maniac. Her mum answered the door in a robe, confused and angry. "Mia's not with you," she demanded. My throat closed. She left the restaurant. What restaurant? I couldn't answer that, because when I tried to pull up the address, when I tried to show her the text message, when I tried to prove I wasn't insane, the messages were gone. The unknown number didn't exist in my call history. The website link I'd clicked was dead. And when I drove back to Briar Lane the next morning, in daylight, shaking and sick, there was no gravel drive, no house, just trees, a blank stretch of forest where my tires should have left tracks. I filed a missing person report. I told the police we went somewhere and she disappeared. They asked where. I said I didn't know, and they looked at me like I was either lying or guilty. I deserved that. I never found her. But every year, on February 14th, at exactly 7:20 p.m, my phone buzzes. Unknown number. Your table is ready. And I don't answer, because I'm afraid if I do, it'll remember I still owe it a dessert. If you've ever worked a delivery job, you know how Valentine's Day goes. It's not romance, it's panic. It's men ordering flowers at the last second, wrong addresses, angry girlfriends, and tips that don't match the effort. I delivered for a local florist in high school, after classes, weekends, holidays. Cash under the table, which was basically the only reason I could afford gas. February 14th was the big one. Our shop opened early and stayed open late, and we stacked orders in crates that took over the floor like we were hoarding colour. That year, I got assigned to the late route, which meant deliveries after dinner. Mostly surprise drops, flowers on doorsteps, bouquets at restaurants, last-minute apologies. Around 8:30 p.m, the owner, Donna, handed me a box that didn't match the others. It was black, matte, with a red ribbon tied perfectly around it. No logo, no receipt. The tag was handwritten. To Emily S. from your Valentine. No address. Donna frowned. This one was dropped off, paid in cash. Where's the address? I asked. She shrugged, unsettled. The guy said you'd get a text. Right on cue, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Delivered to 44 Hawthorne Court. Do not ring. Leave it on the step. Do not open the box. A cold little thrill ran through me. Is this like a prank? Donna didn't laugh. Just deliver it. So I did. Hawthorne Court was a quiet cul-de-sac in the nicer part of town. All the houses looked the same in that rich person way. Painted shutters, perfect lawns, porch lights glowing warm. 44 Hawthorne Court had its porch light off. That was the first thing that felt wrong. I parked, walked up the path, and the air got colder with each step, like the house was sucking heat out of the night. I set the box on the top step. Then I noticed the welcome mat. It didn't say welcome. It said, stay. My mouth went dry. I stepped back. My phone buzzed again. Wait. I almost laughed. Like out loud. Nope. I turned to leave, and the front door opened. Not all the way. Just enough to make a line of darkness. Something inside the house moved. A soft, shuffling sound, like bare feet on wood. A woman's voice whispered from inside. Hello? It was faint, not angry, not scared, like she didn't want to disturb someone else. I froze. Emily, I asked, because the tag had her name. Silence. Then, is it for me? My throat tightened. Yeah, a delivery. The door creaked wider. Still, I couldn't see past the darkness. A hand appeared, pale against the black, reaching out slowly. Long fingers, no rings. The hand hovered over the box like it didn't want to touch it. Then it grabbed the ribbon, pulled. The ribbon slid loose smoothly, like it had been tied for this exact motion. I took a step back. Hey, don't open it. Too late. The lid lifted, and a smell hit me. Not flowers, not perfume. Something metallic and sweet, like pennies and sugar. The woman's breath caught. Oh. The porch light flickered on. For a split second, I saw her face. And I knew this wasn't Emily, because her skin was too pale, like paper. Her eyes were too dark. And her smile was huge, stretching too far, like it was drawn. She looked down into the box, and her smile widened. Finally, she whispered. Then she looked up at me, and I realized the box wasn't empty. Something inside shifted, a soft scratching sound like nails against cardboard. She said very calmly, "Come inside." I stumbled backward. "No, sorry, I'm leaving." Her head tilted. "You already delivered it." Behind her, deeper in the house, I heard a second set of footsteps, slow, heavy. A man's voice, deep and amused. "Is it here?" The woman's smile didn't move. "Yes." The man stepped into view behind her, and for one horrible second, my brain refused to process what I was seeing, because his face looked like a Valentine's mask. Smooth plastic, painted cheeks, a red heart on one side, but the eyes behind it were real, watching me. The woman spoke again. "You weren't supposed to ring." "I didn't," I said, voice cracking. "But you spoke," she said, almost disappointed. The man leaned forward. He opened his mouth. "That means he's included." I backed down the steps, nearly tripping, and ran to my car. As I fumbled with the keys, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Too late. I slammed the key into the ignition. The engine coughed, then died. My headlights flickered. The dashboard lights went out like someone had cut power from the inside. I looked up. The woman was standing on the porch now, holding the box like it weighed nothing. The man stood behind her, head tilted, mask smiling, and something inside the box moved. It wasn't a flower arrangement. It was something alive. Something that pressed against the lid from the inside, making the cardboard bulge. The woman whispered, and I swear I heard it even through the closed windows. "Be my Valentine." The engine roared back to life like it had been waiting for permission. I slammed it into reverse, tires screeching, and peeled out of the cul-de-sac. In my mirror, I saw the porch light flicker off, and the house was dark again, like it had never been awake. I drove back to the shop shaking. Donna took one look at my face and didn't ask questions. She just locked the door early and told me to go home. I didn't sleep. The next day, I checked the delivery log. There was no order for Hawthorne Court, no Emily S., no black box. I checked my phone. The unknown number had vanished, like it had never texted me. But my welcome mat at home, it had been flipped upside down, and on the underside, in faded letters I swear weren't there before, it said, "Stay." When I was 15, you could buy a little bag with candy hearts and a note, and they'd deliver it to someone during fourth period. It was meant to be cute. It wasn't. Because the year I decided to finally send one, the note started showing up wrong. I was awkward at 15 in the way everyone is, but I was also the kind of awkward that made you rehearse sentences in your head before you spoke them. There was a girl named Lauren in my English class. She laughed at my jokes sometimes. She borrowed my pencil once. That was enough for my brain to build an entire future. So I bought the candy heart bag. I wrote the note 3 times before I liked it. Happy Valentine's Day. From someone who thinks you're really cool, I didn't put my name. I was a coward, but I told myself it was mysterious. The student council table was set up near the cafeteria, covered in pink construction paper and glitter. I handed the girl at the table my note and my money. She smiled. "Who's it for?" "Lauren S.," I said. She wrote it down, dropped my note into a box with dozens of others, and that should have been the end. The next day, fourth period rolled around, and a student council kid came into class carrying a basket. Everyone got excited, pretending they didn't care. He started handing out little bags with candy hearts and folded notes. Lauren got one. She opened it. Her smile faded. She looked up, scanning the room. Her eyes landed on me for half a second. Then she looked away. My stomach flipped. I tried to read her expression, but she folded the note quickly and shoved it in her backpack. I told myself she was just embarrassed. After class, I caught up with her in the hallway. "Hey, did you get..." She cut me off. "Was that you?" My heart slammed. I tried to play dumb. "What?" "The note," she said, voice tight. "The candy hearts." I swallowed. "Maybe." She looked at me like she didn't recognize me. "Why would you write that?" "What?" I asked, confused. "I wrote..." She pulled the note from her backpack and shoved it at me. I unfolded it, and my blood went cold, because it wasn't what I wrote. The handwriting was mine, but the words weren't. It said, "Be mine or else." I stared at it. I didn't... Lauren's eyes were bright with anger and something else, fear. "Don't do that again." She walked away. I stood there holding the note like it was burning my fingers. That night, I tore up my draft notes. I threw away the pen I'd used, like that would fix it. The next day, someone else got one. A girl in my math class burst into tears at her desk, holding a candy heart bag. Her friend read the note and went pale. Whispers spread fast in the school. By lunch, everyone was talking about the creepy Valentine notes. Teachers got involved. Principal made an announcement about appropriate behavior. Student council said it wasn't their fault. We just deliver what we're given. But that wasn't true, because I knew what I'd written, and I knew what Lauren got. The notes kept coming, not just to girls. A guy on the basketball team got one. He opened it, laughed at first, then his face changed. He crumpled it in his fist and stormed out of class. I caught a glimpse before he crushed it. It said, "I see you." Then the weird part happened. I got one. Fourth period, a basket came in, and my name was on a candy heart bag. I hadn't ordered one for myself. No one in school liked me enough to send me one anonymously, My hand shook as I opened it. Inside was a folded note, my handwriting again. I unfolded it. It said, "You started this," underneath, in smaller letters. "Finish it." I stared at the candy hearts. They weren't the normal ones with cute phrases like "love you" and "call me." These ones were blank, all white, no words. I dumped them into my palm. One rolled over, and on the underside, in tiny red letters, there was a message. "Look under your desk." My heart pounded so hard I could hear it in my ears. Slowly, I leaned down. Under my desk, taped to the bottom, was another candy heart. This one had words. "Smile." I jerked back upright, eyes scanning the room. Everyone was doing their own thing, taking notes, whispering, pretending not to care. But then I noticed something. Lauren was watching me, not like before, not annoyed, terrified. She shook her head slightly, like warning me. And then I saw it. Under her desk, a candy heart taped to the bottom. Under the kid beside her too. Under every desk, a little white heart, waiting. Our teacher kept talking like nothing was wrong, like she didn't notice the sudden tension in the room. My phone buzzed in my pocket. We weren't supposed to have phones out, but I didn't care. Unknown number. "Read it out, loud." My throat closed. I typed back, "Who is this?" Instant reply, "You're Valentine." I stared at the heart under my desk. Smile. I reached down, peeled it off, and flipped it over. The other side wasn't blank. It said, "Tell them my lungs felt too small." I looked around again. More kids were noticing now, shifting in their seats, whispering. Someone in the back said, "What the?" Our teacher finally paused. "Is there a problem?" I tried to speak, but my voice wouldn't work. My phone buzzed again. "If you don't, she will." I looked at Lauren. She was crying silently now, shaking. I stood up so fast my chair screeched. Everyone looked at me. Teacher frowned. "Sit down." I couldn't. My mouth opened, and words came out that I didn't choose. "They're under your desks," I said, voice shaking. "There are candy hearts taped under your desks." The room erupted instantly, chairs scraping, kids leaning down, shouting. "What is this? Who put these here? That's so creepy." Lauren stood up too, wiping her face. "Stop," she shouted, voice raw. "Stop looking, just leave them." But it was too late. People were peeling them off, flipping them over, reading the messages, and their faces changed, because every heart said something different. Not cute phrases, not jokes, things that felt personal. "I know what you did, don't pretend," she lied. "He watches your next kid," started screaming. The teacher tried to calm everyone down, but her voice drowned in panic. I looked at my heart again. "Tell them." Then, like my brain was being pulled by a hook, I looked up at the ceiling, and I saw a flicker of movement in the corner of the classroom, near the vent. Something pale, something thin, like fingers slipping back into the darkness. The lights flickered. For half a second, the room went dim, and in that dimness, I saw it. A face, pressed against the vent grate like someone was looking down at us. A smile too wide, eyes too dark. The lights came back bright, and it was gone. But the hearts kept whispering, not out loud, in our heads. I know that sounds crazy, but I swear to you, I could feel it, like the words were crawling under my skin. Kids were crying. Someone ran out of the room. Someone else threw the heart across the class like it was a bug. Lauren grabbed my arm hard. "You did this," she whispered, shaking. "You started it." "I didn't," I said, but my voice sounded weak even to me. She pulled me closer, voice urgent. "It only comes when someone writes a Valentine without a name." I froze. What? Her eyes were wild. My sister told me. It happened at her school years ago. Someone sent a note, anonymous, and then the candy heart started showing up with threats and secrets and... She swallowed hard. It wants a name. My phone buzzed again. Give me a name. My stomach turned. I wrote it, I whispered. The first one. To you. Lauren's face crumpled. Then it wants you. The classroom door slammed shut by itself. The lights flickered again, longer this time. The teacher yanked on the handle. It's stuck, kids screamed. And from the vent above, a soft tapping began, like fingernails. One by one, the hearts under desks started sliding out into the open, as if pulled by invisible fingers. They gathered in the aisle, a trail, leading to the front of the classroom, leading to the teacher's desk. On top of the desk, another heart appeared, as if placed there gently. This one was red, not white. It had words. Sign it. I couldn't move. Everyone looked at me, not because they knew, because they felt it. The thing wanted a name, and I was the closest thing to a source. My hand shook as I stepped forward. The tapping in the vent got faster. I reached for the heart. It was warm. Not room temperature warm, body warm. I flipped it over. The back was blank, except for a faint indentation, like words had been pressed into it and erased. A pen slid across the desk by itself, stopping in front of me. I didn't pick it up. I ran. I shoved past desks, slammed into the door, yanked. It opened. The hallway outside was empty. Too empty. The sound of the classroom behind me faded like someone turned down the volume. Lauren shouted my name from behind me. I didn't stop. I ran out of school, didn't sign out, didn't care. I ran all the way home. That night, every light in my house flickered on and off. My phone buzzed every few minutes with that same unknown number. Sign it, sign it, sign it. At midnight, the messages stopped, and I thought, stupidly, that it was over. Until I woke up the next morning, went to the kitchen, and saw a small bag on the table. Candy hearts, a folded note, my handwriting. It said, "Happy Valentine's Day. From someone who thinks you're really cool, and this time, at the bottom." My name was already there.